Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
So
Good morning po.
before we proceed to our topic, let me just share my screen first for a while. Is it now visible on your end?
Yes po.
Yes po, ma'am.
Or how about my audio? Is it loud and clear?
Loud and clear po. Yes po.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for responding. Before I start, I just want to remind you that the chat box is open for your questions, or you can just raise your hand if you have something to ask or if you want to answer. Do you understand?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes po.
Now, class, take a look at the pictures on your screen. I want you to observe them, and I will call some students later to share their answers. I'll give you about a minute to think or analyze. Are we clear?
Yes po.
Okay, take your time. Are you now ready, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes po,
Okay.
ma'am. Okay na po.
Between these two pictures, what can you see on their appearance? Raise your hand if you want to answer. Yes, Christine.
Based on the pictures that are shown, ma'am, there are two cooked chickens po.
Yes, and can you tell us the difference between them? Yes, Zyren?
Based on the picture, the first picture shows a perfectly cooked chicken, while the second one shows a burnt chicken. So because it has something black, ma'am.
Correct. And what do you think is the reason why it is burnt?
I think, ma'am, it was overcooked, something like that.
Exactly. Very good, Zyren. Christine, will you please repeat the words that represent these pictures?
Sure po. The first one po is cooked, while the second one is overcooked.
Yes, cooked and overcooked. Now, class, I have a question again. What have you noticed with the words based on their structure? Yes, Christine.
I have noticed po that the second word has the word over before the word cook.
Very good. And what do you think is the meaning of over? Anyone from the class? Yes, Zyren.
The meaning of the word over, I think, ma'am, it's too much.
Very good. Now we have the meaning of the word over. Are the words cooked and overcooked the same? Yes, Christine.
No po, because the word over changes the meaning of the word. And the first word means that it is cooked perfectly, while the second word, which is overcooked, means that the chicken is cooked too much. And we can clearly see the difference in the given pictures po.
Yes, very good, Christine. The word mentioned earlier, which is the word over, is what we call a prefix. And when we say prefix, it is what? Based on our discussion earlier, where can you see the prefix? Anyone? Yes, Zyren?
It is put or attached at the beginning part of the base word cook, ma'am.
That's correct. Prefixes are always attached before a base word and based on the word itself, pre means before. Now, I have a glass and water here let me just get it. And I want you to observe what I will do. And then you will share in the class what you observed. Are you ready? Are you ready, class?
Yes po.
Okay, let me start. Here's the glass and the water. Did you see what I did, class, or do you want me to repeat?
Yes, ma'am, we saw it po.
Okay, thank you for the response. If you have observed what I did earlier, kindly share your ideas. Anyone? Yes, Christine, you may proceed.
I observed that you filled up the glass with water po and you drank the water. Then you fill up the glass again with water po.
Yes, and what do you think is the prefix for the word again? You mentioned that I filled up the glass with water again, right?
Yes po. I think the proper prefix for the phrase fills again is re for refill po. I remember my teacher when I was in junior high school. She asked us to write a draft for an essay, and then she asked us to write again and change some words. She left a note on my paper po, and it is written there, rewrite or something like that.
Exactly, Christine. We also use the prefix re to shorten a word instead of saying the word again. Each prefix has its own meaning and when it is added to a base word, the meaning changes. Is it clear or do you have any questions?
None so far po.
Okay, if there are none, let's proceed to the next slide. Will you please read the words in the slide, Zairan?
Hello, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. The words are American and 1980.
And what do you call these words? The first one is a proper noun, and the second one is what?
The second one is numeral po.
Yes, correct, Zairan. Proper noun and numeral. In this slide, who wants to read? Anyone? Yes, Christine.
Uh, an American and Ray 1980.
Okay, thank you. Now, what have you noticed on these words or what are the changes?
There are hyphens po, ma'am.
Yes, and what do you think is the reason why there are hyphens? I already said it earlier if you can still remember.
I think there are hyphens po because they are proper noun and numeral po.
Yes, very good, Christine. We put hyphens on base words if they are proper nouns and numerals. In this slide, observe the words and share your thoughts about this in the class. There are two pairs of words and I will call you later. I'll give you about a minute to construct your ideas and be ready once I call your name. Do you understand, class?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes po.
Okay, here's the first pair and here is the second pair. Yan. Okay, are you done, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, if you're ready, I will call on Zyren to share his ideas. Zyren?
Okay po, ma'am. Can you hear me po?
Yes, yes.
Okay, ma'am. Based on my observation, the first word without a hyphen is quite confusing. Whether it should be read as winter or re-enter, even though it's obviously read as re-enter. I think the one with the hyphen is the proper one because it eradicates the confusion or misreading po.
Very good explanation, Zyren. And that's the point of putting hyphens. That's why we should always be aware. For the next pair of words, kindly share your ideas, Christine.
Okay, ma'am. The words are both spelled as recover po, but the other one has a hyphen. Just like the previous pair po, I think the use of hyphen here changes the meaning of a word. In the previous pair po kasi about the re-enter, just like what Zyron said earlier, it makes us confused. While in this pair, there are different meanings. The word recover with hyphen means to cover again, and the one without a hyphen means to be back to normal or to get better po.
You got it right, Christine. Your answers are very well said. To add to what Zyren said earlier, if there are two consecutive vowels, just like the example earlier, you should put a hyphen to avoid misreading. Here is another word. Based on this word, do you think it has a prefix? Anyone? Oh yes, Zyren.
Yes, ma'am. I think it doesn't have a prefix because if we're going to remove the letters R and E, the only letters will remain is letter A and L, and there is no such word just like that. So just like what we discussed earlier, a prefix is added to the base word po.
Exactly, Zyren. And not all letters that look like prefixes are not always prefixes, because we need to consider the fact that they are added into a base word only. And here are some lists of prefixes combined with words. On each prefix, you will give its meaning and create a sentence. I'll give you 2 minutes to think of possible answers. For numbers 1, 3, and 5, Christine will be assigned to answer, and for numbers 2 and 4, Zyren will be assigned. Did you get it, or do you have any questions?
None po.
Okay, you may now start listing down your ideas. Time is up. Are you now ready, class?
Yes
Yes
po.
po, ma'am.
Okay, if you are ready, for number 1, kindly proceed, Christine.
In the first word po, the meaning of X is former. And for an example po is Joy is an ex-president of section Gumamela. Can I add something, ma'am?
Oh, sure, sure.
Just like what we have discussed earlier po, I noticed that there is a hyphen because the base word is R. is a proper noun po, which is president.
Very good observations, Christine. You now know the use of hyphens. For number 2, kindly share your answer, Zyren.
Hello, ma'am. Sure po. The prefix po is this, which means not. In short, the word disapprove means not approve. Just like for example po, I asked my mom if I could attend the concert, but she disapproved.
That's correct. And for number 3, Christine, kindly proceed.
I think the meaning of miss po is wrongly, and the word misunderstood means wrongly understood. For an example po is, Sheena misunderstood what I meant earlier.
Very well said, Christine. For number 4, Zyren, continue.
Yes po, ma'am. The meaning of prefix "un" is reverse or not. So the word unlikely means not likely. Just like for example po, my flight to Japan is unlikely to happen due to an emergency po.
Correct. Both of you are doing a great job. And for the last number, Christine,
Just like the previous prefixes po, the meaning of im is not, so the word impossible means not possible. An example sentence po is, her dream is to become a doctor. Again po, her dream to be a doctor seems impossible because of financial problem.
very good class. You understood each prefix and your examples are all correct. As you can see, the given prefixes mostly negate the base word and the meaning changes. And before we end our class, let us review the answers for each number. For number 1, ex-president means former president. Number 2, disapproved means not approved. Number 3, misunderstood means wrongly understood. Number 4, unlikely means not likely. And for the last number is impossible means not possible. And that's all for today's discussion. And thank you so much for your participation and see you again at the next meeting. Thank you, class.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. You can now leave the meeting.